Chapter 16. Yvonne felt a thrill as she was finally able to leave the expanse that was I-85 and enter the 4-lane road that is 316, the Atlanta Highway. She unconsciously began singing the B-52's Love Shack to herself. She reflected joyously that she had passed the CNN Center, Fulton County Stadium, and the other relics of the days when Ted Turner seemed to run a country.
One by one, the free lands of Middle-earth fell to the power of the ring.
Instead of trying to give all his money away to places such as the United Nations. It isn't, she thought, that everything in Atlanta is named Peachtree something. Only bad novelists believe that. Peachtree Avenue. Peachtree Avenue. Peachtree Street. So much as the city has moved beyond peach trees. That thought shifted the soundtrack of her mind to Aerosmith.
I'm not a ragdoll myself,
she affirmed to herself, her thoughts moving to Rory Edwards. Richard Isaacs had been a pleasant fling. It had, after all, lasted one night more than she had expected. She had ultimately, that second night, decided that even his skill at selecting clothes that made him look 5 years younger was not enough. It would not compensate for the fact that his life was spent playing games, and that he would play her for as long as he wanted. Her friend Sue Young had once told her, "Every once in a while, you just have to bend over and take it." She had casually continued, being explicit about where.
Just the tip?
And Yvonne had been appropriately offended. She also realized her friend would never understand that sex was about power, not love.
The only thing that counts in the end is power. Naked, merciless force!
Putting yourself into such a position would forever reduce your role in the relationship until you both started hating you for doing it. Yvonne had seen articles that noted that some hot tramps who might be seen as her competition proclaimed their enjoyment of that particular proclivity. She shuddered at the thought, wondering idly if that meant that the next generation would be romanticizing the ordinary housewife of yesterlore. She couldn't romanticize women who had thrived in the South by feeding their husbands high-cholesterol foods and encouraging them to go hunting and fishing in all types of weather. The premature deaths may have produced pensions, life insurance, and financial security, but steel magnolias could only enjoy the second half of their life, and then only when the affairs of the first half went unacknowledged. She drove toward the ex-urban area that allowed Atlanta to describe itself as a metropolis. Even the names, Alpharetta, Marietta, indicated places where the man of the house kept the little woman. It was as if the transition to soccer mom from ordinary housewife had never occurred. Metropolitan Atlanta was more an extended backwoods area than an accelerated city. Now that Turner had taken the cash and the suits in New York had destroyed much of the rest of the empire, Yvonne wondered how the next generation would fare. Not that she cared about the 20-somethings with tongue piercings. They were a large reason she found her greatest successes with the Levitra generation. She preferred men who no longer found drug-enhanced
pleasure
of the flesh more important than a woman who could keep them interested for the half hour or so before the drug was effective. Her men were those whose definition of foreplay largely consisted of being able to look fondly, share a glass of expensive wine, and listen nostalgically to doo-wop or other classic rock. Pleasant conversation and lubricated condoms did the rest. Today, thinking of Rory, Yvonne pondered what to wear. She approached the well-monikered Commerce with its delightful selection of stores. She even enjoyed watching those daddy's little cuties spend far too much time at Petite Sophisticate and J. Crew on clothes that did far too little for them.
Not,
she reflected uncharitably,
that they need their clothes to do as much for them as I do.
She imagined how she would approach Rory. She would shyly reach out, the very model of an ingenue, which both of them would believe for the moment she was. She would seductively remove his glasses from his face. Should she speak? What is the male equivalent of "you're beautiful without your glasses"? No, just to act silently would be better. She would move simply, gently touch him her fingers, hinting of nail, caress that solid torso, add a heartfelt coo about how strong he must be, to tilt her head slightly, hinting at supplication. He should see worship in her eyes, to slowly move her other hand to his Grecian formula temples, running the fingers more nail this time through it, to exalt how impressive it is that his hair is still intact, while widening her grin to highlight her white stripes teeth. Should she show a hint of tongue?
Use plenty of lip and tongue action.
Finally, there would be a slow, apparently natural motion of the hand from hair to removing the glasses. Is he nearsighted? His age hinted not. He would still be able to see her. She decided to proceed directly to moving the glasses slowly down to her side and rub them with her blouse as if cleaning them thoroughly, forcing his eyes to travel down her body. Another tap of his fabulous torso, lingering this time with a comment about his not needing the Vaseline and oils of a Stallone. She would note his lack of love handles while tilting her own torso to highlight her glorious 38 Ds. They were impressive, she knew, even now when they were no longer supported by nature.
Thank God for Howard Hughes,
she mused.
If he'd gone for those boy girls instead of Jane Russell, women's rights would have been set back 20 years.
Yvonne pulled into the Tanger's outlet mall, reassuring herself that Rory would not track fashions intensely the way Richard does. She remembered the pivotal scene in some clothing movie where the blonde woman catches the man knowing fashion and realizes he is gay. She could not for the 100th time consider Richard in those terms. Rejecting the possibility again for the 100th time, she tried to concentrate on Rory Edwards. She was distracted by the list of things she needed to buy, clear from her scenario. There would be a tasteful shade of red nail polish, lip gloss, hand cream, moisturizer, tooth polish, and a flavored mouthwash. For the latter, she contemplated mint, but had a breakthrough with the idea of cinnamon. Something to surprise him. She considered a touch of dye,
Not that I need it.
but gloried once again in her glowing auburn tresses. Her mother claimed she had inherited them from her grandmother. She decided a green hair clip, which would also highlight her eyes, would be sufficient. But the most important part was the outfit. If she was going to be rail meat on his yacht, she would have to look the part, and nothing in her wardrobe was quite perfect yet. There was a purple silk blouse from she had bought at Neiman Marcus, but she had worn it to a party of Callie's 3 years ago. She was afraid Rory had been there and would remember it. She couldn't remember him from that party, but had been during her enchantment by Calvin.
And men claim only women are bewitching.
She skirted past the Georgia Tech and Ooga girls grabbing last year's halter tops and tube dresses for the coming summer. While she fancied that her body could still support a tube dress, she needed something more traditional for Rory. There was no point in emphasizing the difference in their ages, trivial though she thought of it. She knew this quest well, given her natural proclivity toward men who could legitimately be considered late middle-aged, old enough to know better but careful enough about their bodies to keep them in peak shape. This expedition required an outfit that would have been daring in his day, but would appear restrained among what currently passed for fashion. Which meant a bright green dress, the hair clip would have to be purple, fishnet stockings, and more importantly, a good-fitting push-up bra.
I don't care!
So, it was to the bra shopping first. She wanted a nice lace, wondering if black would be too daring, and rejecting red out of hand. Perhaps white would be safer, especially since the dress was likely to be a bit translucent.
Selecting a bra,
She thought.
is one of those tasks that makes women wish for a penis, a flat chest, or both.
The hours she had wasted in just the past few years, not to mention all those she expected to waste over the next several decades, were frightening. Not even two bras of supposedly the same size and make would fit well, or often even similarly. And two different labels were a sure sign that a 38D would be a 40E, would be a 36C. Heaven help her when she realized that Calvin had been correct in saying that her left breast was smaller than her right. Bra shopping was like trying 2 pairs of shoes to make 1 pair. Still, whether it was life with Rory, or there was some Mr. Right who followed him in her pantheon, this roundelay would not end.
Miss Icicle, ride deck bicycle.
Even while her plan was still hatching, and the glories of an patent seduction could still be savored, Yvonne suspected this would not be her last relationship. Exhausted before she began, she eschewed the Legs Haines Bally Playtex store for Claire's. Yvonne searched first for a nibra. She knew that Playtex might be the result of her search for something to signal a longer-term traditional woman. The temptation of going strapless and backless in the world of A-cups, Wonder Bra, and plastic surgery for 54-year-olds was tempting, though.
That's right, I don't care.
The result she finally found was worth the effort. Black lace top, solid white cups, support, comfortable sweat-absorbing interior, and a silk exterior for that first maneuver of his hand. Even that it had been made in China, where all of the women who worked on it probably did not measure to her own endowment, did not stop Yvonne from wondering at the marvels of modern American culture. The bra found, she moved on to Elizabeth for dresses.
What about Elizabeth, huh?
Glorying again that her flowing locks meant that she really had but 2 basic choices in color, green or purple. And the climate of Atlanta allowed either color to appear appropriate at least 10 months of the year, setting herself off against the verdant landscape and the glories of the sunset as if it were natural instead of planned down to the hour. She thought ruefully of the fashion disaster that would have come from living in Chicago, where Calvin now cohabitated with his not even a handful trust fund bimbo. She considered the timing of her impending liaison, and decided she should take a lavender sunset approach to the evening. A 7:30 meeting could be leveraged to its fullest. His view as she approached their outdoor table fashionably late would be of herself set off by the glowing yellow-red backdrop and highlighted by the verdancy of the surrounding deciduous trees. She decided this meant that her hair would have to be down and around her shoulders. Maybe a flower, lilac, daisy, instead of a hair clip. It would appear positively antebellum, with a hint of knowing couture. A lavender Donna Karan with a neckline that did not plunge so much as gracefully hint. Well, it may have been intended to gracefully hint, but her pulchritude always more favored grace than hinting. Tapered at the waist to highlight the firms of her hips and derriere, ending slightly below the knee to show her calves off in good stead while hiding the scars from the skiing accident that caused her to meet Calvin at that lodge in Vale. Selected, Yvonne left the store wet with both the success of the expedition and the anticipation of the night to come.
Georgia on my mind.
What's up in the house, party people? If you want to see your name up here, or want to request a story or something, check out my Patreon like all these cool people do, like Michael Maris and Break System BSE.